Chapter 197. She was forced to change the dormitory. Mo Ingyu's lips twitched slightly, curving into an arc. This was the first time Yiqing Luo saw a smile on this adorable face. Lu Xiaoyu blinked her eyes and laughed gloatingly. Isn't there a strict rule that no student is allowed to change dormitory? Lu Xiaoyu's question made the hatred in Shangguan Lu Li's eyes deepen. But Shangguan Lu Li still held back her anger and swallowed it down. She staggered out of the dormitory with a lot of things in her arms. When she reached the door, Shangguan Lu Li gritted her teeth and turned her head to glare at Yiqing Luo. You can't be arrogant for long, just you wait. After that, she strode out of the dormitory. Her lifted legs suddenly tripped over something. Shangguan Lu Li's body fell uncontrollably to the ground and the luggage on her flew out. Ha ha ha, a few giggles came from the door. She saw a few beautiful girls in the academy uniform standing at the door, looking at Shangguan Lu Li with ridicule. You guys. Shangguan Lu Li's eyes turned red with anger as she quickly climbed up from the ground and pointed at those girls angrily. How dare you tripped me? Are you tired of living? This kind of trick had always been used by her to trick others. Since when was it someone else's turn to trick her? Shangguan Lu Li, you have to remember, this is the Heavenly Academy, not your Shangguan family. The girls laughed. If you want to throw a tantrum, go back to your Shangguan family. This is not a place for you to behave atrociously. Shangguan Lu Li's little face flushed red. Since young, when had she suffered such grievances? Ever since she came to the academy and met Yiqing Luo, she had been bullied. Yiqing Luo was simply her nemesis. The hatred and disgust towards Yiqing Luo grew deeper and deeper. Yiqing Luo's brows raised slightly as her charming eyes wandered to the few girls at the door and fixed on their badges. The one in front was a student from the high profound class. The two behind were students from the intermediate profound class. These senior students actually came to her dormitory. Those young ladies who were laughing loudly as they watched Shangguan Liuli pick up the parcel on the ground and fled, noticed Yiqing Luo's line of sight and immediately turned their heads over, as a fawning smile hung on their faces. Student Yi, the vice president has already reported the matter between you and Shangguan Liuli to the academy. The academy has allowed Shangguan Liuli to change her dormitory. The girl from the high profound class was Lu Shuayu's follower, Jean Ran. Someone from the faculty council? Yiqing Luo lifted her eyelids as she sneered at Jean Ran's fawning smile. The faculty council was really aggrieved this time. He was injured and humiliated, yet he still had to smile and serve her. A person like Si Yanmu, would he be willing? Yiqing Luo didn't believe it. From Si Yanmu's eyes, Yiqing Luo could see his ambition and strong self-esteem. He would not let her off so easily. Who's your new roommate? Lu Xiaoyu beamed with joy. She suddenly felt that the air in the dormitory had become fresh after Shangguan Liuli. That annoying woman was gone. Jean Ran smiled. That depends on the arrangement of the academy. The new roommate should be here later. Was it the arrangement of the academy or the faculty council? This needed to be investigated. Yiqing Luo's lips curled up slightly as she smiled faintly. Thank you for your concern. There's training tomorrow morning, Xiaoyu, and I have to rest first, so we won't be sending you off. Jean Ran's smile stiffened. She wanted to take the opportunity to enter the dormitory and get some information from Yiqing Luo. Thinking of the task that Lu Shuayu assigned, Jean Ran forced a smile. Student Yi, it's still early. Chapter 198. Yiqing Luo didn't give Jean Ran any face as she turned around and left. When the room door was closed, Jean Ran was still standing at the entrance of the dormitory, stunned. The two intermediate profound class girls behind her also opened their mouths wide in shock. Rumor had it that this freshman was very arrogant. After seeing her today, she was indeed arrogant. She didn't even give face to the senior from the high profound class. No wonder the vice president asked people to keep an eye on this freshman. Lu Xiaoyu's delicate face revealed a smile and made an inviting gesture. Senior sister must have worked hard to come here. Would you like to come in and have a seat? Jean Ran wanted to go in and have a seat. But staring at Yiqing Luo's tightly shut door, she had no intention to open it. Her target was Yiqing Luo. Without Yiqing Luo, it would be a waste of time to stay here. Jean Ran shook her head and led the two followers out of the dormitory. Yiqing Luo returned to her room and heard the footsteps of Jean Ran and the other two leaving. Her lips curled up into a faint cold arc. Jean Ran's purpose in coming to the dormitory, she was naturally clear. The people from the faculty council probably hated her to the core, but they couldn't do anything about it. With old man Guiyu's appearance today to protect her, the faculty council wouldn't dare to find trouble with her in the future. But the constant harassment and flattery was still a little annoying. Yiqing Luo sat by the bed and looked down at the cherry blossom pattern on her wrist. Her fingertips touched it lightly. Her consciousness entered the azure dew bracelet. Old man Song was lying leisurely on the thin mist, dressed in a white robe, as if he was one with the mist. Hearing the sound, old man Song glanced sideways. "Yo, lass, how come you have time to visit me today?" These words were too sour. No matter how slow Yiqing Luo's reaction was, she could smell the strong vinegar. "Old man Song, did you miss me?" Yiqing Luo raised a smile and walked under the mist, looking up at the old man in white robe. Old man Song landed lightly and stood in front of Yiqing Luo. "Miss you? I don't need to wait on you, it's very comfortable, why would I miss you?" Old man Song, who was in the azure dew bracelet, could see everything through Yiqing Luo's eyes. He knew clearly what happened to Yiqing Luo these days. Thinking up to this point, old man Song's expression turned cold and he heavily snorted. His white beard was blown by the wind, causing it to sway endlessly. "Now there's a flesh old man who wants to take you as a disciple, why don't you agree?" Yiqing Luo tilted her head. "Master Guiyu?" Old man Song coldly snorted. "He has flesh and blood, and he can even appear and save you when you are in the most danger. If you become his disciple, it won't be bad for you." Yiqing Luo finally understood the meaning behind old man Song's words. Old man Song was jealous of old man Guiyu. Old man Qing Luo was. Luo old man. Luo. Her lips curled into a smile, and she stepped forward to hold old man Song's arm. Within the azure dew bracelet, old man Song had used the azure dew bracelet's spiritual energy to create a physical body. She rested her head on old man Song's shoulder. Her voice was clear, and elegant. "A teacher for a day, a teacher for a lifetime. From the moment I made a contract with the azure dew bracelet, in my heart, you are my only master." That was the reason why she didn't agree. In Yiqing Luo's heart, old man Song was her master. If it wasn't for old man Song, she, who had reincarnated into a different world, wouldn't have been able to get used to this kind of life in such a short amount of time. I respect Master Guiyu because he is worthy of my respect. I can't deny that I like his character, so I sent Xiao Yu to him. Chapter 199. Yiqing Luo sincerely respected old man Guiyu. Adhering to the principle of keeping the goodies within the family, she brought Yifengyu to old man Guiyu. Of course, as the direct descendant of the Three Springs sect, Yifengyu's aptitude and innate talent were definitely not bad. Especially during those days in Three Springs sect, Yiqing Luo had assigned him daily training tasks. With the assistance of Yiqing Luo's medicinal pills, his profound heart jade had also improved. Old man Guiyu cherished talent and wanted to have a close relationship with Yiqing Luo. Naturally, he agreed to accept Yifengyu as his disciple. As for becoming old man Guiyu's disciple, Yiqing Luo had never thought about it. "You've just entered the academy, and you've already learned a glib tongue." Old man Song sneered, but the expression on his face eased up. Yiqing Luo saw that old man Song's jealousy had dissipated by quite a bit, and her vision looked towards the dragon god cauldron that was standing not too far away. His lips curled into a determined smile. "I will work hard to raise my alchemy level, reconstruct your physical body, and return you your freedom." Old man Song felt that his heart, which had been empty for 1,000 years, actually trembled fiercely. His body was stiff and tense under the white robe. He had not expected Yiqing Luo to have such an idea. Reconstruct his body, he had never thought that he would be able to regain his freedom. However, old man Song believed it. To Yi Qing Luo, nothing was impossible. Miracles could be seen on Yi Qing Luo. Old Man Sung closed his eyes and held Yi Qing Luo's hand. "All right, I'll wait for you." Yi Qing Luo softened her voice and coaxed Old Man Sung with a few words. Old Man Sung couldn't take it anymore, so he rushed Yi Qing Luo to cultivate. Xian Qi was something that had to be cultivated diligently in order to be able to freely circulate Xian Qi during actual combat. After not cultivating for 2 days, Yi Qing Luo settled her heart and sat cross-legged on the stone block. Inside the Azure Dew bracelet was the most suitable place for Yi Qing Luo to cultivate. When she started to gather the surrounding spiritual qi, the entire space's spiritual qi started to surge towards Yi Qing Luo's direction bit by bit. 1 heavenly cycle, 2 heavenly cycles, the absorbed spiritual energy revolved around his profound jade heart, and slowly merged into it. Time flew by unknowingly. While Yi Qing Luo was meditating, she vaguely felt that she had grasped onto something. It was an extremely subtle feeling that disappeared in a flash. Barrier. It was a barrier to advancement. Yi Qing Luo was ecstatic. She was stuck at the yellow mystic 9th grade, unable to break through no matter what. Today, while he was meditating, he had managed to grab hold of this barrier. The opportunity to level up had come. The moment Yi Qing Luo got excited, the spiritual qi became even more turbulent and rushed towards Yi Qing Luo. An overwhelming amount of qi enveloped Yi Qing Luo in it. That barrier to advancement seemed to be right in front of her, as if she could grab it with a single stretch of her hand. Just at this moment, Yi Qing Luo's expression suddenly changed. With his sharp senses, he felt a murderous aura rising in the surroundings. Killing intent? Yi Qing Luo sunk her profound qi into her profound jade heart and gave up on the chance to continue capturing the barrier's advancement. Her spiritual consciousness quickly returned to her body. She suddenly opened her eyes. There was no light in the pitch-black room. Outside the dormitory, there was a stream of air drifting in along with the wind. From afar, in just a few steps, he had already entered her room. Judging from his footsteps and movements, it shouldn't be his first time sneaking into a room. That unfamiliar aura was getting closer and closer. Yi Qing Luo narrowed her eyes as she could faintly see a well-built figure slowly approaching her bedside. Chapter 200. The murderous aura gradually thickened as the killer approached. The cold moonlight shone through the half-opened window. The killer raised the big knife in his hand, reflecting a cold gleam under the moonlight. At the same time, Yi Qing Luo turned over and stood up, the feather fan in her hand unfolded and drew a slight wave of profound qi. However, her profound qi dissipated into thin air as it floated towards the killer. Yi Qing Luo frowned, staring at the killer vigilantly, and was about to jump off the bed. A palm-sized hairy ball leaped in from the window, its bright tiger eyes met with Yi Qing Luo's. The claws that were raised in midair suddenly froze. The little body couldn't keep its balance and fell from the window sill. Yi Qing Luo didn't have time to shout out. Suddenly an elegant sandalwood scent filled her nose. A strong and powerful arm circled around Yi Qing Luo's slender waist. With a thump, the killer fell to the ground, no longer breathing. Yi Qing Luo's body was pressed down on the bed. A man's low and scorching breath came into her ears. "Ah Luo, did you miss me?" "Dmo Xian." Yi Qing Luo put her hands on his chest. "Get out of my way." This man, why did he want to take advantage of her the moment he appeared? And this time he directly pressed her down on the bed. What was he trying to do? If someone pushed the door open at this time, damn, she couldn't wash herself clean even if she jumped into the Yellow River. Dmo Xian put one arm on Yi Qing Luo's shoulder, the other hand stroked the hair on her forehead. "I miss you." "Miss your head? Didn't we just see each other last night?" Yi Qing Luo turned her head away grumpily. This was the opening line every time. As if he really missed her. "Ah Luo, you are in trouble." Dmo Xian chuckled, his body moved slightly and leaned on Yi Qing Luo's side. One arm stretched out, slightly leaned to the side and pulled Yi Qing Luo into his arms. Yi Qing Luo's head was pillowed on the man's arm. And her whole body seemed to be buried in the man's arms. A warm touch came to her earlobe. The man's voice was low and hoarse. Just entered the hospital for 2 days. You had a conflict with your roommate and even the faculty council. Now, even the killer is here. You are really all Luo. Beside her ears was the man's low and deep laughter. There was even a hint of pride in his tone. What's there to be proud of? Yiqing Luo felt that she and Dmo Xian were totally not on the same channel. Do you want me to help you settle these matters? Dmo Xian's slender fingers caressed Yiqing Luo's silky hair. I just want to study well in the academy. Yiqing Luo rolled her eyes. He'll deal with it? Then her days in the academy would not be peaceful anymore. Yiqing Luo snuggled in Dmo Xian's arms and popped her head out. Her line of sight fell onto the little furball who was lying on the bed pretending to be asleep. You brought my Chi-Chi out again? The little furry ball curled up its tail and continued to pretend to be asleep. Yiqing Luo raised her brows. So you're hiding something from me? Chi-Chi curled up even tighter. However, it could feel that its master's eyes were locked on it. Chi-Chi was still scared. She opened her eyes and blinked a few times. Yiqing Luo was hugged tightly by Dmo Xian and couldn't move at all. She could only use her eyes to interrogate. Where did you go? Chi-Chi shook its head and looked at Dmo Xian. The hand that was across her waist suddenly pinched Yiqing Luo's waist. Chapter 201. Stroll? Yiqing Luo raised her eyebrows suspiciously, expressing her disbelief. Dmo Xian was a great god who had his own BGM. Was there a need to borrow the help of a sacred beast to act cool? Moreover, how was the nine-tailed fox not awe-inspiring? Other than strolling around, what else can I do to your Chi-Chi? Dmo Xian's long arm exerted a little strength as he shifted Yiqing Luo's petite body upwards. Half of Yiqing Luo's body was leaning on Dmo Xian's chest. 4 pairs of eyes met and Dmo Xian's thin lips curled into a devilish smile, his brows filled with mirth. Yiqing Luo saw her own reflection in his pitch-black pupils. In his eyes, there was only her. His heart suddenly began to pound uncontrollably, skipping a few beats. Following that, Yiqing Luo's eyelashes drooped slightly as she unnaturally shifted her line of sight. Her cheeks flushed red and gradually heated up. This man, at the slightest disagreement, he used his charm. But she was a sucker for it. Yiqing Luo naturally liked beautiful things that were pleasing to the eyes and made one's body and mind happy. What's more, Dmo Xian's looks and temperament completely conformed to her aesthetics. This hook made Yiqing Luo feel like a little deer was running around. She shot a glance at Dmo Xian and discovered that he was still smiling, looking at her in ridicule. It was as if he wanted to imprint every expression on her face into his mind. Yiqing Luo couldn't stand the stare. Although she was a modern woman, she was, after all, the head of a hidden family. She hung out with a bunch of old men all year round. His thoughts were not that unrestrained. She could still accept teasing a handsome man verbally. But being teased instead, Yiqing Luo expressed her inability to accept it. Using such an intimate position to lie on top of Dmo Xian. Yiqing Luo's breathing became messed up as she clenched her teeth tightly. You're using your charm to change the topic. I'll think that you've really done something to my Chi-Chi. She took a look at Chi-Chi and then looked at Dmo Xian as her lips curled into a teasing smile. Humph humph, Dmo Xian with a heavy taste. Not even saint beasts were spared. However, this smile, Yiqing Luo wasn't able to laugh till the end. Her back was encircled by a long and powerful arm. The woman's soft and delicate body was pressed against the man's hard chest without any gap. The man stretched out his slender fingers and lifted Yiqing Luo's little face. He bent down and kissed her who had a smile on her lips. Their lips touched in a light kiss. The man's inky black eyes were dyed black, and there was some kind of emotion in them. He deepened the kiss. Their lips and teeth intertwined tightly. Yiqing Luo's mind instantly went blank, her petite body went limp and her breathing became heavy. She could only clench Dmo Xian's collar tightly, bit by bit, tightening and tightening. He felt dizzy. until Dmo Xian loosened his grip on her lips and tightened his arms. Yiqing Luo then regained her senses. The numbness on his lips was still there. The man's elegant sandalwood fragrance lingered in her mouth for a long time. In her ears, Dmo Xian's heavy breathing was accompanied by his unique magnetism. "Ah Luo, I'm not interested in Qi, but I want to do something to you." Yiqing Luo was flustered. F***ck. This was the rhythm of being flirted with instead of being flirted with. Not only did she fail to counterattack, she was even taken advantage of by Dmo Xian. Simply too shameless. "Fine. You're strong, you're awesome. I admit defeat." Yiqing Luo gritted her teeth. Her hands were held by Dmo Xian and she couldn't move. She buried her face directly in the man's chest and used his clothes to wipe her mouth to express her disdain for him. At this time, Yiqing Luo's mind was full of cultivating profound qi, working hard to advance, and after surpassing Dmo Xian, she could torment him however she wanted. Chapter 202. The next morning, when Yiqing Luo woke up, Dmo Xian was no longer by her side. The assassin lying under the bed had also disappeared, and there was no trace of him left. He should have been taken care of by Dmo Xian. Yiqing Luo mumbled as she got up to wash up. What was that man trying to do? For 2 consecutive nights, he had occupied her bed and shared the same pillow with her without any explanation. Did he not have a place to stay? How could he ruin a young lady's reputation? What kind of hobby was that? She wasted the whole night and did not go to the Azure Dew bracelet to cultivate. Just a little bit more and she would be able to touch the barrier and successfully break through. That killer, what was his background? What was certain was that the killer was definitely from the Heavenly Academy. Was it a master? A student? Or a worker in the academy? The Heavenly Academy was heavily guarded, and if he was not from the Heavenly Academy, it was impossible to sneak in. And someone who dared to kill in the Heavenly Academy, he had guts. Yiqing Luo was deep in thought when someone knocked on the door and Lu Xiaoyu's voice was heard. "Qing Luo, are you awake? Come in." Yiqing Luo hid the deep meaning in her eyes and picked up the comb from the dressing table to comb her hair. She gathered her long hair into a bundle and tied it tightly with a hair tie. Lu Xiaoyu pushed the door and saw Yiqing Luo standing up from the dressing table. She was also wearing the same green and white uniform. But when worn on Yiqing Luo, there was a hint of coldness and aloofness, but also an enchanting and charming temperament. It was like a blooming lotus flower, elegant and refined. Lu Xiaoyu, who was used to seeing Yiqing Luo in red, couldn't help but blush when she saw this simple and elegant uniform. "Why are you up so early?" Yiqing Luo raised her eyebrows. The instructor gave them the opportunity to delay reporting to the square by 2 hours, but she didn't expect Lu Xiaoyu to wake up early. After all, for the next whole month, we have to wake up early to train and form a habit. Yiqing Luo nodded. To become stronger, to improve their strength and to stand firm. What they needed was not to squeeze out time to rest, but not to waste any time to train. They might not be able to keep up with the progress of the training if they were to report in 2 hours later. The 2 of them arrived at the freshman training field. At this moment, there were hundreds of exhausted students standing on the field. All of them yawned, unable to lift their spirits. When those students saw Yiqing Luo and Lu Xiaoyu, they all opened their mouths wide. "Aren't you allowed to sleep for 2 more hours? Why are you here so early? A day's plan lies in the morning, don't waste any time." Yiqing Luo replied in a good mood. A faint smile appeared on her face, just like what the instructor had asked me before. "I didn't come to the academy to show off how strong I am, but to make myself stronger." The surrounding students had some feelings towards this sentence, while some felt that Yiqing Luo was hypocritical. All kinds of colored eyes, to Yiqing Luo, were of no importance. She pulled Lu Xiaoyu to stand in the line. On the second floor of the freshman training ground, 2 tall and muscular figures were leaning against a pillar. "This freshman is a little interesting." Instructor Chu's lips curled up slightly as he looked at the beautiful figure in the crowd. Instructor Ho's face was cold and he did not say a word. It was considered as a tacit approval of his words. He turned around, both hands on the horizontal railing, and looked down at the students. Chapter 203. It was nearing the time when the school bell rang. More than 300 freshmen had lined up in the field. It could be seen that yesterday's first training had given rise to fear in these students by the two instructors. After seeing the appearance of the two instructors, the students who were yawning and standing crookedly immediately stood up straight. Very good. Instructor Chu glanced at the freshmen. No one is absent. The students breathed a sigh of relief. This was a good start. If the instructors were in a good mood, the torture wouldn't be so heavy. Immediately after, they heard Instructor Ho said coldly, "Now, line up and run 5 laps around the inner line of the square." Start. Damn. Still running. Didn't we run yesterday? Instructor, if we continue to run, it will cost our lives. When the students heard this, their previously tense nerves instantly broke. They wailed endlessly and simply wanted to cry but had no tears. Start. Instructor Ho didn't listen to their complaints and shouted mercilessly. The students trembled. No matter how unwilling they were, they still lifted their legs and began to run. One by one, the freshmen ran from the freshman training ground to the square, then to the inner line of the square and began to run one lap after another. This time, Instructor Ho arranged for Yi Qing Luo and Lu Xiaoyu to be the first. After one lap, the two of them were already far ahead. With yesterday's start, although the students' legs were tired and physically and mentally exhausted, they had obviously improved a lot compared to yesterday. It wasn't until the second lap that the students gradually quit. 2 hours later, Yi Qing Luo finished running 5 laps, stood at the finishing line and began to stretch her muscles. Running was supposed to be done step by step. The instructors asked them to run 5 laps at one time. If it wasn't like Yi Qing Luo and Lu Xiaoyu, who used to wake up early to run every day, no one could persist for 5 laps at once. Yi Qing Luo could see that the purpose of the instructors was not to let these students run 5 laps at all. It was just to stimulate their potential and let them get used to this rhythm. After Yi Qing Luo finished massaging her legs, she walked to the rest area and took a glass of water to drink. Instructor Chu walked over and looked at Yi Qing Luo with his sharp eyes. Tired? I'm all right. Yi Qing Luo smiled. Other than the sweat on her forehead, she wasn't panting too much. Did you undergo training before coming to the academy? Instructor Chu raised his eyebrows and asked curiously. Yes, I don't want to be treated as trash again, so I set a goal for myself to train. When Instructor Chu heard her answer, he smiled with interest. This girl's answer was quite honest. Your foundation is above these people. How about starting tomorrow? The new students will do 5 laps and you will do 10 laps. There was a flash of excitement in Instructor Chu's eyes, but it was fleeting. So fast that Yi Qing Luo thought that she had seen wrongly. Why did she feel that? Instructor Chu seemed to want her to run 10 laps. The instructor said that he would arrange a suitable training method for everyone based on yesterday's training. I will listen to everything the instructor says. 10 laps, Yi Qing Luo had no objections. She came to the academy with the intention of becoming stronger. Instructor Chu nodded with satisfaction, then turned around and returned to the finishing point of the square. He raised his voice and said, "Those who have finished 5 laps, report back to the freshman training ground. Those who haven't finished, run until today." Those who had quit halfway and didn't have time to rest, when they heard Instructor Chu's words, they braced themselves and joined the running team. It seemed that, yesterday was really just a test. And today was the official training. Chapter 204. Yi Qing Luo was the first to follow Instructor Chu back to the freshman training ground. The freshman training ground was a closed field, about the size of Yi Qing Luo's new courtyard in the Three Springs sect. It was about 600 meters around the field. In the corner of the training ground, there were a lot of self-made training equipment. It was comparable to the training Yi Qing Luo received in the Hidden Family in her previous life. Go and do 200 push-ups. After Instructor Chu brought Yi Qing Luo to the training ground, he didn't wait for her to look around and directly gave an order. After running 5 laps inside the square, Yi Qing Luo's legs were already a little tired. She didn't protest when she heard Instructor Chu's words. She walked to the place designated by Instructor Chu and began to do push-ups. The movements were standard and smooth. Breathing and muscles were in sync. The smile on Instructor Chu's lips gradually deepened as he nodded in satisfaction. This Yi Qing Luo was completely different from the other students. It was as if she had undergone professional training. She didn't need any guidance at all to complete all the basic training perfectly. There wasn't the slightest flaw in her training. Moreover, she wouldn't be like the other students, who would complain endlessly about their assigned goals. He was willing to teach such sensible freshmen even if there were another 100 of them. Yi Qing Luo adjusted her breathing and frequency and did one after another. On the second floor of the training ground, a few masters dressed in white robes with a horizontal bar on their shoulders were accompanied by a young man dressed in black. When passing by the field, the young man paused slightly and looked at Yi Qing Luo with a pair of indifferent eyes. This pair of eyes was cold and aloof, as if looking down on everything. There was no ripple in his pupils, as calm as still water. His expression was icy cold, without any emotion. The young man exuded a cold aura from head to toe. Master Chu, this is the freshman training ground, the freshman is doing training. The master at the side quickly explained when he saw the situation. Freshman? The young man stared at Yi Qing Luo, his eyes were deep and his thin lips moved slightly. Can she take this training? She's the most powerful new student we've recruited this year. A master recognized Yi Qing Luo who was doing push-ups. Although her profound grade is not high, but her potential is full. She's Yi Qing Luo. The master at the side was suddenly enlightened and shifted his gaze to Yi Qing Luo. This freshman is indeed a talent. If she is nurtured well, she will definitely become an influential figure in the Western continent in the future. The young man squinted his cold eyes as he muttered softly, Yi Qing Luo. It's indeed her. The master didn't hear the lad's complaint and shook his head when he saw that he was interested in Yi Qing Luo. This new student has only been in the academy for 2 days, but his name has already spread throughout the academy. Old man Gui Yu couldn't wait to take her as his disciple and take care of her. Moreover, she has His Majesty behind her. The youth's expressionless face changed a little. He suddenly raised his eyes and stared at the teacher with his cold, dark eyes. Dizun? Yes, she seems to be the disciple of the overlord. The young man frowned slightly as if he was deep in thought. As for Yi Qing Luo who was doing her push-ups, she naturally felt that someone was staring at her. It seemed like they were still talking about her. Just as she finished 200 push-ups, she stood up and looked towards the second floor. On the second floor, stood a few masters and a young man. When her vision was fixed on the young man's face, Yi Qing Luo clicked her tongue. She didn't expect to meet a face that was comparable to Dmo Xian's. It was just that, this face looked dull, cold and arrogant. Chapter 205. Sit for half an hour and do 200 weighted squats. Seeing Yi Qing Luo stood up and began to stretch her limbs, Instructor Chu issued another order. Yi Qing Luo responded and moved her gaze away from the young man, sitting cross-legged on the ground. Instructor Chu was considerate, he even took the initiative to pour a glass of water and handed it to Yi Qing Luo. The young man on the second floor originally looked into Yi Qing Luo's eyes. His indifferent face hooked into a shallow arc. However, Yi Qing Luo just glanced at him and didn't look at him again. Instead, he looked at Instructor Chu, who was standing next to him, silently. The young man's handsome brows tightly knitted together and his eyes darkened. She dared to look away. She didn't recognize him. The master next to him sensed the cold air from the young man and immediately stopped talking. After a while, the young man waved his sleeves, put his hands behind his back and spat out a word coldly, "Go." Instructor Chu began to urge her after sitting for just half an hour. Yi Qing Luo got up and took out 2 iron wristbands from the training equipment, each weighing 50 kilograms. She put them on and began to do squats. 1, 1, 1, Instructor Chu crossed his arms in front of his chest. His face was full of satisfaction. This freshman had a strong willpower and endurance. It was rare to see. Even the students from the high profound class, after doing so many exercises in a row, they would more or less show some complaints and reluctance. It was no wonder that old man Guiyu had identified Yiqing Luo at first sight. Even he had a kind of impulse to train hard to see how strong Yiqing Luo could be. When Yiqing Luo did 70 over, Lu Xiaoyu also completed 5 laps and rushed to the freshman training ground. Similarly, she was asked to do push-ups by the instructor. However, Lu Xiaoyu only needed to do 150. The two of them did their own thing. One by one, numbers popped out from their mouths. No one complained at all. Yiqing Luo was very tired, a full 10 kilometers of jogging, plus 200 push-ups and then weighted squats. After finishing, Instructor Chu issued new instructions for Yiqing Luo to run another 5 laps around the training ground with this 100-kilogram wristband. Although this training ground was much smaller than the inner line of the plaza, it was much smaller. But after a series of training, to run these 5 laps, even if Yiqing Luo trained frequently, it was still a little too much. His arms and legs were so tired and heavy that they did not feel like his own. However, Yiqing Luo relied on the willpower in her bones to complete all the training. Yiqing Luo was sweating profusely as her face turned pale. He didn't even have the strength to wipe the sweat off his face. She sat heavily on the ground, gasping for air. His limbs were so sore that it was difficult for him to even move. There was even a faint twitching sensation. Yiqing Luo leaned against the wall and closed her eyes to rest for a while before she slowly opened her eyes. The moment she opened her eyes, she discovered that there were several pairs of eyes staring at her. In the freshman training field, there were actually over 100 students. Yesterday, only she and Lu Xiaoyu had completed 10 laps, and there were 2 other students who were only a few steps behind. Today, there were actually over 100 of them. Yiqing Luo's lips twitched in ridicule as she closed her eyes once again. The students who were admitted into the Heavenly Academy were definitely not useless and their own strength was definitely not weak. Yesterday, they were indeed lazy on purpose. The training exercises were all the same. Instructor Chu decided the number of exercises according to each person's qualifications. After resting for a while, she suddenly heard footsteps approaching her. Chapter 206. Yiqing Luo opened her eyes and frowned. There were 2 teenagers standing in front of her. They were slender but tall, with a polite smile on their immature faces. "Student Yi, we want to thank you." "Thank me?" Yiqing Luo raised her eyebrows. Had she ever done anything worthy of gratitude? The 2 teenagers squatted down and faced Yiqing Luo. The teenager on the left curled his lips and smiled brightly. "My name is Dong Huang Lang. You spoke for us when we jogged 5 laps in the square yesterday." The teenager on the right was slightly indifferent and nodded slightly to Yiqing Luo. "My name is Qi Yi Jing." Yiqing Luo was suddenly enlightened. "It's you guys." She remembered that the 2 teenagers were only a few steps away from reaching the finish line. But both of them didn't make it to the end and fainted on the track at the same time. Sigh, it was such a pity yesterday, just a little bit more. I won. Dong Huang Lang shook his head and sighed, sitting next to Yiqing Luo. He put his hand on Yiqing Luo's shoulder. "Fortunately, you helped us to speak to the black-faced instructor, so we passed the training." Perhaps it was because of Dong Huang Lang, Yiqing Luo saw her own brother and didn't feel disgusted with his action. "I just said what I thought, there's no need to thank you." Yiqing Luo smiled slightly. "Moreover, under the countless students who gave up, you can still persist. This kind of persistence is very touching." "I still have to thank you. Without today's 2 hours of rest, my legs would definitely be broken." Dong Huang Lang leaned his whole body over. "Lang." Qi Yi Jing's eyes swept over Dong Huang Lang's hand. "No matter how much you admire Student Yi, she is also a woman. Don't touch her." Dong Huang Lang retracted his hand bitterly. Yes, Old man Jing, men and women should not touch each other, I understand. Yi Qing Luo looked at the both of them as she couldn't help but burst out laughing. You two have a good relationship. This kind of relationship was very sincere. It made Yi Qing Luo envious. Who has a good relationship with him? Dong Huang Lang snorted lightly. Besides bullying me, he only knows how to bully me. I will die of anger if I have a good relationship with this kind of person. Qi Yijing just glanced at him indifferently and was too lazy to speak. Instructor Chu shuttled back and forth among the students, checking and adjusting the irregular movements, and was about to check on Yi Qing Luo. Qi Yijing pulled Dong Huang Lang up and looked at Yi Qing Luo. If there is a chance for us to repay your kindness, please do not hesitate to look for us. We still have other training to do, so we will leave first. After that, without waiting for Yi Qing Luo's reply, he pulled Dong Huang Lang back to the training team. He came suddenly and left in a hurry. These two youths were really willful. Yi Qing Luo smiled helplessly as she supported herself against the wall and stood up. After resting, his limbs felt even weaker. After taking a few steps, he felt a stabbing pain in his bones. The after-effects of his limbs penetrating through his limbs had arrived. You have completed all the training, go back to the dormitory to rest first. Instructor Chu noticed Yi Qing Luo's movements and walked over. Yi Qing Luo nodded. She indeed couldn't wait to return to the dormitory and have a good sleep. After submitting the comprehensive data of yesterday and today's training to the dean, the school's top management will assign you to your classes after 5 p.m. Remember to report to the training ground. Instructor Chu reminded. Yi Qing Luo responded and said goodbye to Lu Xiaoyu, who was doing heavy squats, and left the freshman training ground. Chapter 207. She had just arrived at the dormitory and had yet to step through the door when a respectful voice came from behind. Student Yi, please wait a moment. Yi Qing Luo frowned as she turned her head impatiently to look behind her. The person behind her was dressed like an attendant, holding 2 bottles of medicine in his hands. This is a gift from my young master. The attendant held up the 2 bottles with both hands and bent down to deliver them to Yi Qing Luo. This bottle is for external injuries, apply it on the 4 limbs to dispel the fatigue. This bottle is for internal consumption, after taking it, the body will recover its vitality. Yi Qing Luo squinted her eyes and stood up straight against the door. Your young master? She had never seen this attendant before. What he was wearing was also not the uniform of a worker in the academy. He should be someone from outside the school. Who was his young master? The attendant did not answer, but moved his hands closer to Yi Qing Luo. Yi Qing Luo was an alchemist herself. From the fragrance of the medicine, she could judge that these 2 bottles were absolutely precious. Only those above the level of an alchemist could refine such precious items. Could it be DMO Xian? The current her indeed needed such precious pills to replenish her vitality. And she did not have the time nor the energy to refine pills in the Azure Dew bracelet. Immediately, she did not stand on ceremony and took the bottle. The attendant smiled, saluted again and turned to leave. Who is your young master? Yi Qing Luo stopped the attendant and asked. The attendant paused for a moment and replied, my young master's surname is Chu. After saying that, the attendant left straight away. Chu. Yi Qing Luo frowned and looked down at the 2 bottles in her hands. Did she know someone with the surname Chu? In her memory, she did not seem to know such a person. Yi Qing Luo knew that she had a photographic memory. The other party could take out pills that were above the level of an alchemist. His identity was certainly not ordinary. She should have an impression. You're back. The dormitory door was suddenly opened. Mo and Yu stood at the door, looking up and staring at Yi Qing Luo with empty eyes. Yi Qing Luo restrained her thoughts and put the bottle in her sleeve. Don't you need to go to class? When Mo Ingyue heard her question, the corner of her mouth twitched, revealing a strange smile. There's no need for class. Our class doesn't have a teacher. Yi Qing Luo blinked her eyes. No master dares to teach. What class is it that's so powerful? Mo Ingyu was expressionless again. She inched towards the dormitory. You're back quite early. It seems that the freshman training isn't difficult for you. Seeing that she had changed the topic, Yi Qing Luo didn't pursue further. The exhaustion from her body made her not in the mood to continue the conversation. With a wave of his hand, he returned to his room. Behind him, Mo Ingyue, who had returned to her wooden chair, looked up. A faintly discernible ray of light flashed in those usually empty and lifeless eyes. That stiff and expressionless lowly face also had a hint of a smile that wasn't a smile. After returning to the room, Yi Qing Luo sprawled onto the bed without a care for her image. Chi came out from the void and jumped to the side of Yi Qing Luo's head. It stuck out its soft little tongue and licked her gently. Yi Qing Luo turned over and met Chi's black tiger eyes. Ow! Chi opened its mouth and let out a low whimper, as if it was distressed for her. Yi Qing Luo smiled and rubbed her face on its little body. I'm going to rest for a while, wake me up before 5 p.m. Ow, ow, Chi responded and obediently curled up its little body, lying next to Yi Qing Luo. Chapter 208. It was the medicine bottle that the attendant had sent over. Yi Qing Luo's fingers moved and Chi had already placed one of the medicine bottles in her hand. After unscrewing it, a refreshing medicinal fragrance filled her nostrils. Just by smelling this medicinal fragrance, her body and mind seemed to be healed. No wonder it was a precious medicinal pill. Yi Qing Luo poured out a dark-colored pill, a very small one. Chi's head leaned over and nudged Yi Qing Luo's hand, indicating for her to swallow the pill. As a sacred beast, Chi's ability to recognize medicine was not weak. It immediately sniffed out that this pill was good for its master's body. Yi Qing Luo swallowed one and closed her eyes. Immediately she circulated the profound qi within her body and guided the medicinal effect to her limbs and bones. Wherever the medicinal pill passed through, the heavy and sore feeling on her body seemed to be cleansed by a warm spring water. After a few circulations in her body, Yi Qing Luo opened her eyes again and the tiredness in her body was swept away. The effect was really amazing. Yi Qing Luo weighed the medicine bottle and from the sound, there were at least 7 or 8 pills in it. Who was that Master Zhu? Why would he send an attendant to deliver medicine to her? Such a precious medicinal pill, one was worth a few hundred gold coins. The other party had so many pills in one shot. After thinking for a while, Yi Qing Luo couldn't find anyone with the surname Zhu from her memory. She could only give up. Whatever, for now, she didn't feel any malicious intent from the other party. Since the other party would send her medicine, he would show up sooner or later. By then, after clarifying the other party's purpose, she would repay him with a better medicinal pill. Yi Qing Luo placed the 2 medicine bottles into the profound phoenix ring and closed her eyes to rest again. The physical tiredness could be dispelled by the medicinal pill, but the mental tiredness could only be recovered through sleep. There was still an hour before 5 p.m. when Yi Qing Luo was woken up by Chi. Her body was sticky and full of perspiration. Yi Qing Luo couldn't stand the thick smell of perspiration on her body. She took the wooden bucket to the water bamboo outside the dormitory and collected several buckets of water before returning to her room to take a bath. After tidying herself up, she finally felt refreshed. When she walked out of the room, she saw Lu Xiaoyu walking out in a daze with a sleepy look on her face. Yi Qing Luo couldn't help but burst out laughing as she went forward to hold her back. Hurry up and take a shower, we're about to report to the training ground. Yi Qing Luo stuffed her into the room and lifted the bucket to fill the water for Lu Xiaoyu. Lu Xiaoyu rubbed her eyes and after smelling the perspiration on her body, she covered her nose in disgust and didn't stand on ceremony with Yi Qing Luo. After taking a shower, Lu Xiaoyu was much more clear-headed. Her exhaustion was also alleviated. There was still a quarter of an hour before reporting to the training ground, so the two of them immediately rushed to the training ground. In the training field, hundreds of students had already lined up and stood ramrod straight. These people's faces were pale, and their bodies were covered in sweat as they gasped for air. There was still a group of students who hadn't completed the instructor's task. They were still working hard, their mouths spitting out numbers one after another. Perhaps it was because of the news of the division of classes. None of the people who had fainted after running 1 or 2 laps in the square yesterday had fainted today. In front of the training ground, there were already many white-robed teachers. The horizontal bars on their shoulders were 4 at the highest level and 2 at the lowest level. They must be the teachers who taught the classes. They specially came over to take a look at their new students. With the teachers around, it was no wonder that these new students were trying their best to complete all the training. What if the teachers from the high profound class took a fancy to them? Chapter 209. The group of students were dirty and sweaty, whereas the masters were dressed in white robes and looked like immortals. It was a stark contrast. Yiqing Luo pulled Lu Xiaoyu to the team. The two of them were refreshed and formed a sharp contrast with the group of freshmen. The gazes of the few masters fell onto Yiqing Luo and Lu Xiaoyu. Immediately, they raised their palms and placed a palm-sized wooden token on top of it. The shape of this wooden token was the same as the wooden token that represented the identity of the students. This was the wooden token that represented the identity of the masters. It recorded the identity of each freshman and the information of their profound grade ability, as well as the past 2 days of training and the evaluation given by the instructors. If the masters wanted to know someone's information, they only needed to look at the wooden token and silently recite the other party's name. The masters looked at the wooden token for a while and immediately began to discuss. When the bell rang, Instructor He and Instructor Chu called up the remaining 60 students who had not finished their training and asked them to stand back in line. From now on, Elder Yunxiang will assign you to your classes. Instructor Chu stood at the side of the team and his voice was loud and clear. This class assignment is based on the comprehensive results of the admission assessment, ability assessment, and the past 2 days of training. No matter which class you are assigned to, you are still students of the Heavenly Academy. If you feel indignant, you can improve your strength and wait for a year later. There was a rule in the Heavenly Academy. Every year, there would be a competition between the 3 classes. For example, the students from the low class could challenge the students from the intermediate class after passing the assessment of the low class. The opponent of the challenge was randomly arranged by the Heavenly Pagoda. If the students from the low class won, they could become students from the intermediate class. The student from the intermediate class would be demoted to the low class. If the students from the low class failed the challenge, they would continue to stay in the low class and wait for next year's opportunity. And the students from the intermediate class who were challenged would get a prize from the Heavenly Pagoda. This rule seemed to be a cruel elimination system, but in fact it was a very good way to compete. Only pressure could drive people to stimulate their own potential. Survival of the fittest, survival of the fittest. Are you ready? Instructor Ho shouted again. All the students, although exhausted, but at this time, is like a big bell, ready. The 2 instructors stood upright and said to the row of teachers in front of them, Elder Yunxiang, you can start distributing the classes. Among the headmasters, an old man stood up slowly. Yiqing Luo then realized that this old man's white robe was different from the other masters. The sleeves and collar of the old man were embroidered with golden thread. His waistband was also embroidered with a golden tiger pattern. On his chest badge were 5 red horizontal bars. Ahem. The old man coughed lightly, with a kind smile on his face. I am the Academy's Elder Yunxiang. Welcome all the students to enter the Heavenly Academy and pass the various assessments smoothly. The students have worked hard. The freshmen immediately shook their heads. Not at all, not at all. Elder Yunxiang's smile became gentler. When his vision collided with Yiqing Luo's, Yiqing Luo acutely noticed that Elder Yunxiang seemed to have paused on her for a moment. Just one look, but Yiqing Luo could tell that a flash of cold intent flashed past his eyes. Elder Yunxiang seemed to hate her. Not waiting for Yiqing Luo to take a closer look, Elder Yunxiang had already moved his sight away, still smiling kindly. Students, please wait for a moment. After I have discussed with the other masters, we will start to distribute the classes. Chapter 210. Another person walked in from outside the training ground. A tall and slender figure with a cold face. Wasn't it the Vice President of Faculty Council, Lu Shuiyu? Vice President, distribute these to all the masters. Elder Yunxiang's old face turned into a chrysanthemum when he saw Lu Shuiyu. Lu Shuiyu carried a basket of painting tubes and walked towards the masters. Each of them was given a painting tube and immediately retreated to one side. The masters opened the painting tubes and spread out the scrolls inside. On these scrolls, there were hundreds of freshmen's class allocation. The Heavenly Academy had always respected their masters. Therefore, for the freshmen's class allocation, the academy would be based on the master's preference. The Elders department would allocate each student into a class based on the overall strength of the freshmen. The masters of each class could discuss with the masters of the other class to exchange students based on their preferences. After everything was discussed, the class of the students was finally decided. This was also the reason why the masters endured the stench of sweat and came to the freshman training ground early in the morning. Only by seeing the aptitude of each student with their own eyes, would they know if this student could be taken in and if they had the aptitude to train them into excellent students. There was competition between the students and also between the masters. If the headmaster wanted to raise his status, he had to bring out the best students. Only then would he be able to get the bar to raise the badge. After the masters spread out the scrolls, all of them coincidentally looked for the same person's name. After seeing that name, all of their faces changed into astonishment and disbelief. Elder Yunxiang, this. What's going on? Elder Yunxiang was still smiling kindly. He flicked his sleeves and said, other than her, you can choose any of the other students. What a pity. The masters shook their heads helplessly and sighed. Yiqing Luo had been paying attention to the masters and Elder Yunxiang. Suddenly, she saw a few masters looking at her with an extremely strange gaze. Forget it if it was just one. One after another, all of them stared at her. After staring for a while, they looked away with a pitiful expression. Yiqing Luo had goosebumps from being stared at. These masters, what did they mean? What was the meaning of these gazes? Somehow, there was an ominous premonition. These masters' strange behavior should be because they saw her class allocation. Could it be that he was assigned to the low profound class? Just as Yiqing Luo was guessing in her heart, those masters had already adjusted the freshmen that they were going to teach. The few of them reorganized themselves and decided on the final class allocation. Elder Yunxiang took the scroll and passed it to Lu Shuiyu. Lu Shuiyu began to read, Students of Low Profound Class 1, please listen carefully to your name. He read out the names one by one. About a quarter of an hour later, Lu Shuiyu took a deep breath and read, Students of Low Profound Class 2, please listen to your name. Every Xian class was divided into Class 1 and Class 2. Class 1 was basically made up of freshmen from the academy. Their aptitudes weren't that great, but there were still areas where they could be molded. Class 2 was mostly made up of older students from the Xian grade class, which was slightly more advanced than Class 1. In the low profound Class 2, Yiqing Luo heard Yi Fengyu's name. How could your brother be assigned to the low class? Lu Xiaoyu's face wrinkled into a ball when she heard this. She tugged at Yiqing Luo's sleeve as her voice was suppressed to an extremely low volume. Hasn't he been taken in as a disciple by Master Guiyu? No matter what, he can't possibly be in the low profound class. Yiqing Luo smiled and shook her head at her, indicating her to stop talking. Chapter 211. As for why Yi Fengyu was in the low profound class, Yiqing Luo knew the reason. These 2 days, Yi Fengyu did not participate in the freshman training, but followed Old Man Guiyu and trained according to his style. Since Old Man Guiyu had agreed to take Yi Fengyu as his disciple, he would fulfill his responsibility as a master. Old Man Guiyu would not abide by the school's rules and did everything according to his own preferences. He let Yi Fengyu train with him, so those people in the school naturally did not dare to have any opinion. Old Man Guiyu thought that Yi Fengyu had completely ruined his foundation in the past few years in the ordinary school. Only by entering the low profound class could he start from the most basic level? Foundation was the most important issue in cultivation. If the foundation was not stable, no matter how high the profound grade was, if he met someone with a solid foundation, he would still be oppressed. Just like Yiqing Luo. Although her profound grade was not high, but with her own physical fitness and solid foundation, she had defeated Yiqing Ling and Yiqing Qian. This was the importance of the foundation. Yiqing Luo also agreed with this view. Therefore, she agreed to let Yi Fengyu go to the low profound class. Following that, the names of intermediate profound class 1 and 2 were read out. In intermediate profound class 2, Yiqing Luo heard Shengguan Lu Li's name. Lu Xiaoyu laughed softly and turned to look at the ashen-faced Shengguan Lu Li. To be able to enter the intermediate profound class 2 was already considered as an excellent student. However, for Shengguan Lu Li, she could not be happy at all. Shengguan Lu Li clenched her fists tightly, endured the anger in her heart and concealed the displeasure on her face. She had 100% chance of entering the high profound class. If it was not because of Yiqing Luo, she would not have been humiliated in these 2 days of training and would not have suffered the humiliation of being forced to change dormitory. Now the whole school had treated her as a joke. At this time, Shengguan Lu Li had transferred all her hatred to Yiqing Luo. Just as Lu Xiaoyu was snickering, she heard Lu Shuayu's cold voice read out, Intermediate Profound Class 2, Lu Xiaoyu. What? Lu Xiaoyu could not hold back and exclaimed out loud. Her eyes widened as she stared at Lu Shuayu. In the quiet training ground, Lu Xiaoyu's voice attracted everyone's attention. Lu Shuayu frowned unhappily. Any objections? Of course, before she could voice out her opinion, her arm was pulled by Yiqing Luo. Of course not. Yiqing Luo raised a smile. Xiaoyu had always been not very confident. She was too excited to be able to enter the intermediate profound class 2. Lu Xiaoyu's hand was hurting from Yiqing Luo's fingers, but she endured it and forced a smile. Yes. Too excited. Too excited. He was so excited that his hair was about to stand on end. In the same class as Shengguan Liuli? Would he still be able to study properly in the future? Lu Shuayu gave Yiqing Luo a cold stare and her gaze returned back to the scroll in her hands as she continued to read out the following names. In the end, there were only 3 students left. Yiqing Luo, Dong Huang Lang, Qi Yi Jing. Everyone's gaze shifted to the 3 of them. In this batch of new students, there were only 3 who could enter the high profound class. The only suspense was class 1 and class 2. Lu Shuayu stared at the names on the scroll and looked up. High profound class 1, Dong Huang Lang, Qi Yi Jing. She paused and moved her finger to the bottom of the scroll. Everyone held their breath. It seemed that Yiqing Luo was going to enter the high profound class 2. It seemed that since the establishment of the school, this was the first time that a new student could directly enter the high profound class 2. No wonder she was the disciple of the overlord. Lu Shuayu's hand stopped at the last line of the scroll. Chapter 212. Yiqing Luo, Devil Class. Devil Class? The surrounding students sucked in a mouthful of cold air. Yiqing Luo was allocated to the Devil Class. How could that be possible? Although Yiqing Luo's profound grade was low, but her ability had far surpassed those cultivators in the mystic profound stage. Thinking of Yiqing Luo's heroic deeds. Passing the ability assessment in half an hour. Breaking the academy's record. And challenging Yiqing Ling, who had already advanced to the mystic profound stage and had the dark forces item. Wasn't this enough to prove Yiqing Luo's ability? Totally not worse than the students in the high profound class. Especially these 2 days of freshman training, Yiqing Luo was the one who completed it the best. The students recalled the dispute between Yiqing Luo and the Shengguan family, and being invited to the faculty council. It couldn't be that the faculty council was deliberately taking revenge, right? Elder Yunxiang, have you allocated the wrong class? Based on Qing Luo's ability, even if she can't enter the high profound class 2, she definitely won't be in the devil class. Lu Xiaoyu couldn't hold back as she gritted her teeth and shouted angrily. In the academy, there was a class of gods which was known as the Sacred Legend, so naturally there would be the devil class which made people tremble with fear and despise. This devil class was the most trashy and useless class in the Heavenly Academy. The students inside were all weird and even scarier than the students in the class of gods. Any masters who stepped into the boundary of the devil class would be frightened by this group of students and would not dare to take another step. But the academy needed such a class to maintain the overall balance of the academy. If there was a mistake when recruiting students, or if the students were disobedient, they would be thrown into the devil class directly. Once they went to the devil class, then they would be hooked with the trash. Lu Xiaoyu was so angry that her cheeks flushed red as she clenched her fists tightly. However, Yiqing Luo's face was as still as water, without any extra expression. This is the unanimous decision of the elders. If student Lu has any opinions, you can come to the elders directly to raise it. Elder Yunxiang smiled with curved eyebrows as he stroked his white beard. Lu Xiaoyu was flustered. Elder Yunxiang was obviously making things difficult for her. He was deliberately targeting Yiqing Luo. Just as she was about to open her mouth to argue, Yiqing Luo shook her head at her. Lu Xiaoyu bit her lower lip and puffed her cheeks angrily. Suddenly, Instructor Chu, who was standing on the right side of the student, frowned and took a step forward. Elder Yunxiang, I, as an instructor, would like to raise a question to the elders. Instructor Ho took a step forward. Although he didn't say anything, the meaning was obvious. He and Instructor Chu wanted to seek justice for Yiqing Luo. The dozen masters were in an uproar. Each and every one of them stared at Yiqing Luo with some probing gazes. Who would have thought that the two men who had always been known as cold-faced instructors would actually speak up for a student? Elder Yunxiang's face darkened. What questions do you have? Instructor Ho and I are very clear about student Ye's strength. With her strength, even if she were to enter the high profound class too, it would be a matter of course. I don't understand why the elder quarters would assign student Yi to the devil class. Elder Yunxiang placed his hands behind his back and the smile on his face gradually froze. The students recruited by the Heavenly Academy, other than strength, must also have good moral qualities. It is because of student Ye's strength that created her shortcoming of being arrogant. 2 days after entering the academy, she had a conflict with the students, forced her roommate to leave, and even had a quarrel with the high profound class, and was even reported to the faculty council. One by one, he said it as if it was a serious matter. Yiqing Luo couldn't help but laugh out loud. If student Yi can settle her temperament in the devil class, she would naturally be able to return to the low profound class after 1 year. Chapter 213. Instructor Chu's cold and stiff face revealed a trace of anger. This was obviously sophistry. The usually upright and plain-spoken instructor's pair of sharp eyes faintly leapt into a fiery red. Yes, of course. Before he could finish his words, a clear voice interrupted Instructor Chu's words. It's all right, I'll go to the devil class. Yiqing Luo's lips curled up into a faint smile. Her face was calm, without any hint of displeasure. From the surrounding students' eyes, Yiqing Luo could tell that the devil class was probably not a good class. As compared to the low profound class, it was a little lower. Seeing Instructor Chu and Instructor Ho clashing with Elder Yunxiang because of her, Yiqing Luo had already felt the instructor's intentions. After all, they still had to teach in the academy and offending the elders would not be beneficial to them. Student Yi, devil class that place. Will bury your abilities. Instructor Chu was extremely unwilling, but he was only an instructor and could only be in charge of the freshmen's training. He had no right to interfere with the new students' class allocation. A real talent, no matter where, will not be buried. Yiqing Luo's lips curled up as she gave a deep bow to the two instructors. I know both instructors are doing this for my own good. It's all right. As a student, I naturally have to abide by the academy's arrangements. The two instructors looked at each other in the eye. The reason why they stood on Yiqing Luo's side was because they cherished the talent. As the ones who trained the freshmen, they admired students with potential the most. But now, they admired this young lady from the bottom of their hearts. She was obviously only 15 years old, but her thinking was so mature. So mature that even they were ashamed of themselves. The surrounding students were also infected by Yi Qing Luo's words. That's right, gold will always shine. A real talent, no matter where, as long as there was a chance, would be able to shine dazzlingly. Finally, the class allocation was done. Elder Yunxiang said some old words and let the students go back to rest. This was the last rest for the students. Tomorrow morning, they still had to come back to the training ground to continue training. After the training, they had to go back to their own class to listen to the teacher's guidance. When the students heard the news, they all cried and hurriedly dispersed. All of them couldn't wait to return to the dormitory and sleep till the end of time. The lively training ground gradually quietened down. Lu Xiaoyu pulled Yi Qing Luo's sleeve. Her face was filled with anger. Qing Luo, why did you agree? I don't believe that if we students join hands to protest to the elders' quarters, they will still insist on sending you to the devil class. Smart people will only choose to protect themselves. Who do you think will agree to protest? Yi Qing Luo shook her head helplessly. Lu Xiaoyu was indeed too young. The status of a student in the academy was considered the lowest. Unless your own strength is enough for the academy to value you. Otherwise, no matter what status one had outside the academy, one would have to listen to the headmaster's teachings in the academy. These students didn't have any relationship with Yi Qing Luo, so why would they take the risk of offending the elders' quarters just to protest for her? How can you be so calm? Those who don't know would have thought that I'm the one going to the devil class. Lu Xiaoyu saw Yi Qing Luo's indifferent look as she anxiously stomped her feet. Chapter 214. Xiaoyu. Yi Qing Luo's calm voice seemed to have a magical power that could soothe the anxiety in one's heart. She raised her pink lips and put her hand on Lu Xiaoyu's body. Her charming eyes bloomed with a coquettish radiance. No matter which class, it's all the same to me. A person's growth is not just because of the environment, because the class you are in, it will limit your own strength. She smiled, her charming eyes became firm. My talent, my ability, my determination to become strong, will not change because of anything. Lu Xiaoyu was stunned, under the influence of Yi Qing Luo. Her whole body seemed to be burning with a raging fire, ignited. That's right. A person's growth depends on themselves, not others. As long as she was determined, even if the environment was limited, even if there were many obstacles, it would be easily solved. She was just assigned to the devil class. At most, she would train herself in the devil class, work hard, work harder than others, struggle a little more than others. Why couldn't she be compared to others? Lu Xiaoyu's face revealed a smile. She held Yi Qing Luo's hand. Qing Luo, I understand. I will record everything that the master taught me, and then pass it to you. Seeing that this girl was determined to help her, Yi Qing Luo could only smile. Then I'll have to trouble you. Lu Xiaoyu then let it go. The two left the training ground hand in hand. Behind them, the two instructors were surprised. Both pairs of eyes stared at Yi Qing Luo's departing figure. The school has its own survival rules. This is student Ye's fate. You don't have to blame yourself. Instructor Ho, who rarely spoke lightly. He reached out and put his hand on Instructor Chu's shoulder. Instructor Chu glanced sideways slightly. I just feel pity. This girl will definitely become a great person in the future. She is born to stand on the peak. So, what are you feeling pity about? Believe in her, that's enough. Yi Qing Luo and Lu Xiaoyu were on the way back to the dormitory. The surrounding students were pointing and discussing. At first, the two thought that the students were discussing about Yi Qing Luo being assigned to the devil class. But listening carefully, it wasn't the case. Yi Qing Luo vaguely heard old man Guiyu's name. An ominous premonition arose in her heart. She grabbed a random student and asked with a sullen face, "What are you talking about? What happened to teacher Guiyu?" That student was from the low profound class and was frightened by Yi Qing Luo's imposing manner as he stuttered, Master Guiyu went to the elder quarters. I heard that it was because of your matter and he's making a big fuss. No one could stop him. Before he could finish, the student's collar was flung away. He only felt a gust of cold wind blowing past his face, and where was Yiqing Luo's figure in front of him? Behind him, his brothers surrounded him and teased him. The low profound class students only replied with 2 words, beautiful, cool. Yiqing Luo's footsteps were as swift as the wind. Following the memory of the map which she had seen in the academy's booklet, she found the location of the elder quarters. Outside the elders' quarters, there were dozens of students. Standing outside the courtyard, Yiqing Luo could hear the carnage and the sound of things falling onto the ground. A series of noises shocked the surrounding students and caused them to exclaim. Yiqing Luo had just arrived at the entrance of the elder quarters and was about to enter when she was stopped by 2 gatekeepers. The elder quarters are handling some matters. Students are not allowed to enter. The courtyard door was tightly shut and Yiqing Luo couldn't see the situation inside. Chapter 2:15. Other than me, no one can stop Master Guiyu. Yiqing Luo glanced coldly at the doorman. If you want the elder quarters to become a joke, you cannot let me in. The doorman sized up Yiqing Luo. You are Yiqing Luo? This appearance, this temperament, was indeed similar to the rumored Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with them. She grabbed one of the doorman's arm and pulled him away. She directly barged into the elder quarters. Lu Xiaoyu followed closely behind and was just about to enter when she was stopped by the doorman. The moment Yiqing Luo entered the elder quarters, her face was filled with sand and dust. She lifted her sleeve and wiped it on her face. Damn! What's the situation? Yiqing Luo squinted her eyes through her sleeves. In the elder quarters courtyard, there was a cloud of sand and dust. The flowers and trees at the edge of the courtyard were blown to the ground. In the midst of the sand and dust, a white figure was waving his wide sleeves, releasing bursts of profound qi. At the entrance of the main hall, there were 6 elderly dressed as elders, pacing back and forth in panic. Old man Guiyu, let's talk it out, let's talk it out. We are all on the same side, why get physical and hurt the harmony? Old man Guiyu sneered coldly, who the F***ck is on the same side. I am here to fight with you bunch of stubborn old fogies. You even dare to bully my Luo lass, you really have the guts. Old man Guiyu, we are innocent. Why don't you come in for a cup of tea first, let's have a good talk, what is the misunderstanding? Yiqing Luo listened to these words, her face was filled with black lines. It turned out that after old man Guiyu came to the elder quarters, he did not say anything and directly smashed the elder quarters. This temper was simply too awesome. She loved his personality so much that she couldn't stop loving him. Misunderstanding my ass. My Luo lass's aptitude is outstanding. She could obviously enter the high profound class too, but she was assigned to the devil class. Are you blind or are you blind or are you blind? This, what are you stammering for? If you don't give me a satisfactory explanation, I will annihilate your elder quarters today. Old man Guiyu shouted arrogantly. A gust of qi formed a whirlpool under old man Guiyu's feet. Countless whirlwinds blew the sand and dust all over the ground again. Yiqing Luo choked and coughed lightly. She covered her face and said, Teacher Guiyu. Teacher Guiyu, please wait. Girl Luo. Upon hearing Yiqing Luo's voice, old man Guiyu's face was instantly filled with smiles, his figure flashed and he dashed towards Yiqing Luo. The whirlwind in the courtyard also gradually stopped. When the elders saw that the courtyard had finally regained its peace, they all heaved a sigh of relief. Sister. In the corner of the courtyard, Yi Fengyu, who was hiding from the dust, immediately ran over when he saw Yiqing Luo. Master Guiyu, what are you doing here? Yiqing Luo flicked her sleeves and dusted herself off. There was a lot of sand on her face and head. Old man Guiyu immediately stretched out his hand and patted the dust off Yiqing Luo's head. You lass, you have been bullied like this. As your backing, I must come forward to seek justice for you. Old man Guiyu's actions were rough, this pat and grab had caused Yiqing Luo's high ponytail to become a ball. Yiqing Luo was helpless. She waved off old man Guiyu's hand. All right, go back and wash your hair later. She scratched her hair and looked at the 6 elders. She didn't see Elder Yunxiang among them. Chapter 2:16. Sister, you have been allocated to the devil class. I will accompany you. Yi Fengyu held Yiqing Luo's hand. Before he could finish his words, his hand was flung away. Yiqing Luo twisted his ears. What nonsense are you talking about? You came to the academy to become stronger, not to accompany me. Listen to Teacher Guiyu's words. If he wants you to go to the low profound class, you'd better stay there obediently. Guiyu leaned forward. I think let him go to the devil class. He still couldn't finish his words. Because Yiqing Luo raised her eyes and stared straight at him. Guiyu coughed a few times and looked away. That's right, kid, your foundation is not good enough, you have to train your foundation in the low profound class. Yi Fengyu covered his ears in pain and responded repeatedly. Yiqing Luo then let go of him and looked at the 6 elders. Elders, I'm sorry for causing you trouble. No trouble, no trouble. At this moment, there was only one thought in the minds of the elders. As long as old man Guiyu was taken away, everything was no trouble. Lass, what are you apologizing for? Old man Guiyu lifted Yiqing Luo's collar. This bunch of stubborn old men, how dare they put you in the devil class? All right, Teacher Guiyu, I know you are doing this for my own good, but this matter has nothing to do with these elders. Yiqing Luo comforted him softly. It's all right, I will go to the devil class. Which class is not important to me. Nothing to do with these elders? Could it be other elders? Old man Guiyu caught the main point. Tell me, which stubborn old man assigned you to the devil class? I will go and chop him up right now. I'm old, teacher, at most you can come to the devil class and be a teacher. Yiqing Luo caught a glimpse of the elders' nervous expressions and held old man Guiyu's arm as they walked towards the direction of the door. Upon hearing this suggestion, old man Guiyu clapped his hands happily. That's right, why didn't I think of that? I will be a teacher for you. There was no teacher in the devil class. If old man Guiyu was the teacher, no matter how weird the students were, they would definitely be tamed by him. The devil grew 1 foot, the way grew 10 feet. Yiqing Luo finally convinced old man Guiyu. The 3 of them left the elders' department. The 6 elders all patted their chests, and they could finally breathe more easily. Unexpectedly, old man Guiyu cared so much about that female student. He did not know who the female student had offended to be forcefully assigned to the devil class. This female student's aptitude and potential was indeed enough to enter the high profound class too. Unfortunately, sigh. The elders shook their heads and helplessly began to clean up the mess in the courtyard. Yiqing Luo was sent back to the dormitory by the duo. With old man Guiyu around, there were no rules. Without a second word, he forcefully entered the female dormitory area and arrived at Yiqing Luo's dormitory. Sister, do you really intend to go to the devil class? Yi Fengyu pursed his lips, his face showing his unwillingness. Big sister was obviously so powerful, so why did she have to enter the academy's most useless class? If word of this got out, the 2 from 3 Springs Manor would probably mock her again. Little Luo, that class isn't the class you imagined. You better think about it carefully. Old man Guiyu cracked his knuckles. If you don't want to go, I can transfer you to high profound class 2 anytime now. Chapter 2:17. Old man Guiyu's angry face gradually calmed down. After a moment of silence, he smiled again. I'm just a low-level teacher in the academy. I just eat and drink in the academy. Old man Guiyu was still the same, laughing like a lunatic. But in his eyes, Yiqing Luo caught a sliver of pain. Teacher, although I've never been to the academy, I still have some understanding of the rules of the academy. Yiqing Luo pursed her thin lips. You are the academy's master, and yet you are making such a big fuss with the elders because of me. If it reaches the director, she could feel old man Guayu's intentions. That was enough. It was just a devil class. There was absolutely no need to cause Guayu to be forced to leave the academy for such a small matter. I don't know your status in the academy, but I do know that the elder department has a high status in the academy. Even if they were willing to submit to you in front of you, you still caused a scene in front of the students, causing them to lose face. Ha ha ha. Luo lass, are you worried about me? Old man Guayu patted Yiqing Luo's shoulder heavily. Don't worry, I'm more than enough to deal with those old fogies. Even if the dean comes, I won't give him the cold shoulder. Yiqing Luo was even more curious about the identity of old man Guayu. It was said that old man Guayu's position in the academy was second only to the dean. But he wasn't even afraid of the headmaster. What was his relationship with the dean? Alright Luo lass, I am going to be a teacher in the devil class. I won't leave the academy so easily. Don't worry. Old man Guayu wasn't willing to reveal his identity and Yiqing Luo wasn't one to force him, so she didn't continue asking. Old man Guayu would never speak without confidence. Since he was sure that he would not be punished, he would definitely be fine. The devil class shall be the devil class. I will stick to my original heart and will not be affected by anyone, anything, or any environment. Yiqing Luo turned her head to look at him. My fate is up to me, not the heavens. Fate is in my own hands. It's not like I'll be able to soar to the skies if the academy arranges for me to be in the high profound class too, and it's not like I'll be unable to recover from the setback if the academy arranges for me to be in the devil class. Hearing this, Yi Fengyu's eyes suddenly widened. There seemed to be a lofty aspiration spreading from the bottom of his heart. My fate is in my hands, not in the hands of the heavens. Little Luo, I knew from the first glance that you were a dragon among men. It's this personality of yours that makes me love you deeply. Old man Guayu laughed and applauded. They talked for a while. After all, this was a female dormitory. If a roommate came back and saw a man in the dormitory, it would not be good. The two of them left. Old man Guayu left excitedly to apply to be the teacher of the devil class. The dormitory became quiet. When she returned to her room, her spiritual sense entered the azure dew bracelet and she began to cultivate. She had to break through the mystic class as soon as possible. Stuck at the 9th level of the yellow Xian realm, unable to break through that barrier no matter what. This kind of feeling was simply too unbearable. Although this body, after purification, was much faster in cultivating Xian Qi than ordinary people, it was still not enough. But after all, it was impossible to become fat in one bite when it came to cultivation. If he wanted to break through and advance, he had to find an opportunity to advance. The more anxious he was, the more irritated he would be. It could easily lead to qi deviation. Yiqing Luo took a deep breath and suppressed the impatience in her heart. She closed her eyes and began to absorb the spiritual qi in the azure dew bracelet. She calmed her heart and circulated the Xian Qi in her body to blend with the spiritual Qi. Gradually, 4 hours had passed. Yiqing Luo opened her eyes, her face revealed a frustrated look. Why did she always feel that the barrier to advance, but she could not touch it no matter what? Dmo Xian's lips curled up as he circled her tiny body. Luo seems to be in a lot of trouble in the academy, do you need me to help? He lifted Yiqing Luo's lower jaw as their eyes met. That fiery gaze fell on her delicate face. That pair of long and narrow peach blossom eyes that were like a pool of spring water revealed a charm that made one unable to look away. No need. Yiqing Luo shook her head as she raised her hand to cover his eyes. If this pair of eyes continued to stare at her, she was afraid that she would not be able to control herself. Let nature take its course regarding the academy's matters. If I needed help, I wouldn't have rejected teacher just now. She didn't want to rely on others for everything. Blindly relying on it would only cause one to stagnate. No matter what troubles there were in the academy, she wanted to rely on herself to solve everything. Chapter 219. The southwest of the West Continent was a place called the Magic Beast Forest. The Magic Beast Forest, as the name suggested, was a place where magical beasts roamed and all kinds of heroes captured the beasts. Why did you bring me here? Yi Qing Luo frowned. As far as the eye could see, apart from the lush foliage of the trees, there were only trees. He could vaguely see groups of mercenaries coming and going. Dmo Xian stood behind her with one arm around her waist. Ah Luo, aren't you worried about how to advance to the profound grade? You mean? Here, I can find a breakthrough opportunity. Yi Qing Luo's eyes brightened as she turned to look at the man behind her. At this time, both of them had put on a mask, two ordinary faces that couldn't be more ordinary. But, no matter how ordinary the face, it couldn't conceal Dmo Xian's innate noble temperament. Especially his pair of narrow peach blossom eyes, which revealed a breathtaking charm. This ordinary face and this pair of eyes were completely incompatible. Whether you can find a breakthrough opportunity or not, it's all up to you. Dmo Xian's lips curved slightly as he leaned down and whispered in her ear, "You have one night's time. I will send you back to the academy before tomorrow's training. So, don't even think about sleeping tonight. But, if you can find a breakthrough opportunity, it's worth it not to sleep." The breakthrough of each profound grade was the most difficult hurdle to cross. Some people could cross it in one day. Some people spent their whole lives and still couldn't break through. This was a person's fate and luck. Yi Qing Luo didn't want her profound grade to be stuck at the yellow profound grade, unable to cross the hurdle of profound grade. She absolutely complied with Dmo Xian's suggestion. She didn't realize that at this time, she and Dmo Xian's posture was very intimate, like a loving couple. Several groups of people who were heading into the depths of the Magic Beast Forest would occasionally turn their eyes to them. Once they saw that there were only two of them, with an ordinary appearance, they disdainfully looked away and walked straight into the Magic Beast Forest. The Magic Beast Forest was divided into 7 levels. The first level was the outermost periphery of the forest, where the low-level magical beasts lived. The second and third levels covered the low-level magical beasts and a few intermediate-level magical beasts. The fourth and fifth levels were where mid-level and high-level magical beasts gathered. There were also very few magical beasts. Once they reached the 5th line, the mercenaries would not dare to venture outside. Unless all the mercenaries in this mercenary group were at the mystic realm, perhaps they would dare to take the risk and test the waters at the 6th level. The 6th level was filled with ferocious illusory beasts. As for the 7th level mirage beasts, it was said that they were like humans and had human consciousness. They could speak the human language and live like humans. Of course, there were rumors about the 7th level, but they were just rumors. No one had ever confirmed it. For many years, no one had been able to come out of the 7th level alive. If this ordinary couple came to a dangerous place like the Magical Beast Forest, they would at most be able to wander around in the 2nd tier. It would not affect the interests of their mercenary group. These mercenary groups didn't think much of Yi Qing Luo and him. "Which level are we going to?" Yi Qing Luo looked up at Dmo Xian. "Let's go to the 5th level first and pick some small magical beasts to practice with." Yi Qing Luo blinked her eyes. Why did the meaning in these words sound a little horrifying? What did it mean to go to the 5th level first? The 5th level was a level that only mercenary groups of 40 to 50 people dared to go. Could it be that after practicing, he still wanted to advance to the 6th level? Damn it. Chapter 220. No matter how Yi Qing Luo wailed in her heart, she had been forcefully embraced by Dmo Xian and walked towards the depths of the Magic Beast Forest. There weren't many magic beasts at the 2nd level and they were all cleared by the mercenary groups ahead. Yi Qing Luo and Dmo Xian walked with ease. They were just taking a walk. Until they reached the 4th level, there were several intermediate-level magic beasts. Dmo Xian released Yi Qing Luo's hand and took a step back. Yi Qing Luo was clear that he wanted her to do it herself and had no intention of helping. The best way to increase strength was to fight continuously. Only through fighting, could one's profound grade be maximized and used to stimulate one's potential. Yiqing Luo clenched the glower flame fan and leaped towards the intermediate level magic beast. After a while, the intermediate level magic beast fell to the ground. A sparkling crystal object popped out from the magic beast's head. Hey, intermediate level magic beasts also have magic cores? Yiqing Luo picked up the crystal object. The magic core was the source of the magic beast's strength and was equivalent to the human's profound jade heart. The magic core was also the food of the magic beast and was the best material for refining weapons. The magic beasts in the magic beast forest have different strengths. Dmo Xian walked forward slowly and took Yiqing Luo into his arms once again. Go further in and you may be able to collect some magic crystals. Magic crystal was the upgraded version of the magic core. Among the advanced magic beasts, only a small number of them could form a magic crystal. The use of the magic crystal was even more amazing than the magic core. The power in the magic crystal could be absorbed by humans and transformed into their own strength. Countless cultivators wanted to collect magic crystal to help themselves advance. Because of this, the price of magic crystal was raised to a high level. Because only mirage beasts would have magic crystal in their head. To kill a mirage beast, it required a team of 70 to 80 cultivators who were at the mystic level and above to be able to kill it successfully. Dmo Xian said it so easily. Nirvana legend was a legend after all, he spoke with such confidence. But did the Overlord intend to let her fight the mirage beast alone? If that was the case, she only wanted to say, I can't do it. Along the way, Yiqing Luo slaughtered the magical beasts and collected the magic cores. Dmo Xian stood behind her, his peach blossom eyes looking at her tenderly. It wasn't until she had killed 2 to 3 advanced-leveled magical beasts that Yiqing Luo started to feel strained. At this moment, they were already standing at the edge of the 5th level. Yiqing Luo intended to stop here. Dmo Xian, there might be danger if you go any further in. Even mercenary groups might not dare to go to the 5th level, and there were only 2 of them. She knew that Dmo Xian was powerful, but to what extent, she had never seen it. Moreover, from the looks of it, Dmo Xian had no intention to make a move. Are you afraid? Dmo Xian raised his brows as his lips curled into a smile that didn't look like a smile. Yiqing Luo was stunned as her eyelids drooped down and her fingers subconsciously clenched into a fist. Scared? She had gone through a hail of bullets and gone through fire and water, but she had never feared death. Otherwise, he wouldn't have detonated the plane, jumped off the plane, and perished together with those old men. What was she worried about? Yiqing Luo wasn't sure what this unfamiliar feeling in her heart meant. In her past life, she had no friends or relatives. She had no one to rely on, and even if she died, no one would shed tears for her. So life and death wasn't important to her. But now, she had a younger brother whom she wanted to protect as he grew up. She had people whom she wanted to protect. She had promised those people to do something, but she hadn't done it. If something happened to her, they would shed tears for her. For the first time in her life, she actually tasted the taste of timidity in the face of danger. The her now was more like a person. Chapter 221. Ah Luo, do you believe me? Dmo Xian saw the evasive look in Yiqing Luo's eyes. He took her hand and put it to his lips. His warm lips were printed on the back of Yiqing Luo's hand. Yiqing Luo's hand trembled as she regained her senses from her chaotic thoughts and stared at Dmo Xian. Believe me, the 4th level will not be your limit. If you want to break through successfully, you have to go further. 5th level, 6th level, or even 7th level. Yiqing Luo widened her eyes in disbelief. He was sure, he was not joking. She was a yellow profound 9th grade cultivator, no matter how strong her potential was, if she had no fear and believed that she could rush to the 6th or 7th level. That was not confidence, that was stupidity, that was arrogance. Ah Luo, I'm here. Dmo Xian raised his eyes. That pair of long and narrow peach blossom eyes were moist and extremely charming. She just took a glance and couldn't help but sink into it. The most touching words of love in the world was, "I'm here." He was here. Could she really get used to him around? She had never experienced such feelings before. Should she follow her intuition and rely on this man for once? Why are there two people here? Suddenly, a sweet voice sounded behind her. Behind her, there was a burst of neat footsteps. Yiqing Luo turned her head back and saw a frail-looking lady hanging on to the man next to her. Behind them, there was a mercenary group of about 40 people. "Just the two of you?" The woman glanced behind the two of them and frowned. "This is the 4th level. You two should hurry back." This gentle whisper and extremely concerned words almost made Yiqing Luo laugh. Enemies were bound to meet on a narrow road. She didn't expect to run into acquaintances when she sneaked out of the academy. These two were none other than Lang Fenghua and Yiqing Qian. Now that it was the first day of school, Yiqing Qian should be in the Heavenly Academy. She actually sneaked out of the academy. Perhaps it was because of Lang Fenghua. Some time ago, Yiqing Luo had exposed the affair between Yiqing Qian and Lang Fenghua in front of the people. No matter how they tried to explain, they couldn't explain it to the people. Moreover, if Lang Fenghua wanted to marry Yiqing Qian, it would confirm the rumors that they had an affair long ago. For the sake of his own reputation, Lang Fenghua naturally wouldn't be like before, looking for Yiqing Qian every few days for a lovey-dovey session. He wasn't looking for Yiqing Qian. Yiqing Qian panicked, thinking of ways to appear in front of Lang Fenghua. She was determined to secure the position of crown princess. "The two of you dare to come to the 4th level? Even if you want to die, don't do it in front of me." How unlucky. Lang Fenghua disdainfully glanced at the two of them. The two of them looked extremely ordinary, and their clothes were also ordinary. Even his profound rank was so weak that he almost couldn't sense it. He felt that it was a waste of time to look at these two pieces of trash. "Your Highness, please don't be angry, just let these two people leave." Yiqing Qian comforted him gently. Her little hand gently stroked Lang Fenghua's chest. The beauty's soft and gentle words made the expression on Lang Fenghua's face ease up quite a bit. He hugged Yiqing Qian's waist tightly as he walked past the both of them, walking towards the front. A group of mercenaries followed closely behind, and when they passed by Yiqing Luo, they even made a driving gesture. Go, hurry up and leave, don't disturb us." The group of people entered the 5th level in a grandiose manner. Chapter 222. Dmo Xian's pair of bewitching peach blossom eyes squinted slightly as he stared at Yiqing Luo for some time before his thin lips curled upwards. How could I refuse Luo's invitation? Yiqing Luo's eyes curved as she smiled. A crafty and black-bellied mysterious smile flowed beneath her eyes. The reason why Lang Fenghua would bring such a large group of people to the Magic Beast Forest and march towards the 5th level was obviously for the magic crystal stones. If, just when they had painstakingly killed a phantom beast and finally obtained a magic crystal stone, yet, it had been snatched away by someone else. How devastating would that be? Immediately, Yiqing Luo no longer hesitated as she stepped into the 5th level. Lang Fenghua and Yiqing Qian had already given her a reason to continue taking risks. You are a woman suited to a life of adventure. It's good to have feelings in one's heart. Beside her ear, the man's low and hoarse voice rang out. It was as light as a breeze, falling into her eardrums. If this feeling can make you want to protect them, and make you want to become stronger, then this is a motivation. But if this feeling causes you to stop moving forward, then you should think about it carefully. Do the people in your heart want you to stop moving forward? Luo, the you I know is not afraid of any difficulties or obstacles. You work hard to achieve your goals. This is why I admire you. I hope you don't lose this uniqueness that belongs to you. Yiqing Luo stopped in her tracks, her long eyelashes fluttered like butterfly wings. She raised her eyes and looked at Dmo Xian. The smile on the man's face was still there. At this moment, Yiqing Luo's state of mind had undergone an earth-shattering transformation. Deep in her bones, she still had the hot-bloodedness of an adventurer. She loved adventures and battles. She loved the feeling of gradually becoming stronger in the process of killing. However, after experiencing a life and death situation, he had never felt familial love and friendship before. This made her unable to adapt and deal with these emotions for a while. I understand. Yi Qing Luo's throat was dry, and after a long while, she spat out a sentence, "Thank you, Dmo Xian." Dmo Xian's words could be said to have opened his heart. For the overlord to hang around her, other than the fact that she had something that Dmo Xian needed, there was an even bigger reason. It was because she was different from the current generation of women, which attracted him. These words were enough. Since she believed in Dmo Xian and came to the magical beast forest, she should also try to hand over everything to Dmo Xian. The magical beasts on the 5th level were more concentrated. Furthermore, every single one of them was at least a high-ranked magical beast. Occasionally, a few mirage beasts could be seen. Although Ling Fenghua and the others were a large group of mercenaries, they still carefully avoided the groups of magical beasts and phantom beasts. Their goal was obviously to find a single low-level mirage beast. Before finding the target, it was best to avoid fighting with other difficult magical beasts and save some energy to deal with low-level magical beasts. Yi Qing Luo and the other man hid in the dark, observing the actions of Ling Fenghua and the others. Walking all the way to the middle of the 5th level, a group of people finally caught a low-level phantom beast. Ling Fenghua's face was filled with joy as he pulled Yi Qing Qian back into the mercenary group and commanded, "Go." After successfully killing him, this prince will reward you with 500 gold coins. 500. This number caused the mercenaries in the mercenary group to rub their palms together. Initially, when they accepted the mission, Ling Fenghua offered 300 gold coins, which was enough to make them excited. They didn't expect that he would directly increase it by 200 gold coins. Chapter 223. The low-level mirage beast was entirely black, with shiny black fur, strong limbs, slightly arched lower body, a pair of brown sharp beast eyes, vigilantly watching the surroundings. That mirage beast was a leopard-type mirage beast, about the size of 2 giant tigers. Apparently, it had sensed the threatening atmosphere around it. The perception of a magical beast was hundreds of times higher than a human's. The mirage beast was even more vigilant, sensing the strange atmosphere from afar. Its entire body was stretched straight, in a defensive posture. "Get into formation," the mercenaries in front attack from the left and right, "Go." Once mercenary Tuan Tuan gave the order, more than 40 mercenaries pounced forward. Roar! The low-level mirage beast's huge body leaped backward, avoiding the mercenaries' attack, and let out a sharp roar. "Finish it quickly. Its cry will attract other mirage beasts." The leader's face was cold, decisively commanding another team to rush forward, to block the mirage beast's mouth. The power of a mirage beast was enough to match 2 earth-profound cultivators. Even if it was a low-level mirage beast. But this leopard-type mirage beast was obviously a battle-type mirage beast. Despite its huge body, it was as agile as a monkey, dodging the attacks of the mercenaries one after another. While avoiding the attacks, it opened its huge mouth, its sharp fangs mercilessly bit on the mercenaries' shoulders, and immediately lifted its huge leopard claws, trampling down fiercely. Several mystic profound cultivators were bitten by the leopard-type mirage beast, bleeding profusely, screaming endlessly. Human blood stimulated the mirage beast's sense of smell. That pair of sharp beastly eyes suddenly flashed, its claws pouncing even faster and more ruthlessly. In the dark, Yi Qing Luo turned to look at the man beside her. "Do you think this team of mercenaries can tame this mirage beast? If they can, what are you going to do?" Dmo Xian raised his eyebrows and asked. What would he do? Yi Qing Luo's vision returned to the agile leopard-type mirage beast. That black leopard-type mirage beast constantly changed its position, and at the most appropriate time, attacked the mercenaries. One by one, the mercenaries fell. On the other hand, it had only suffered some superficial injuries. If this magical beast were to be killed and Ling Fenghua took out its magic crystal, it would indeed be somewhat unbearable to watch it get killed. Ah, Luo is a kind-hearted girl. Dmo Xian's big hand covered Yiqing Luo's head. His long and narrow eyebrows were curved, and the corners of his mouth held a gentle smile. Kind-hearted? This was the first time someone had used these words to praise her. She knew that she was not a kind person. Everything he did was just following his heart. Unexpectedly, the leopard-type mirage beast that she admired a little, in Dmo Xian's eyes, turned out to be kind-hearted. Yiqing Luo laughed lightly. In that case, you also suggest me to make a move? Dmo Xian gave an enigmatic smile. That smile, Yiqing Luo couldn't understand it. After a moment of silence, Dmo Xian's thin lips moved slightly as he faintly said, "He's here." Just as he finished speaking, the entire magical beast forest suddenly shook and the mountains shook. Immediately, a few deafening roars were heard, and the ground shook even more violently. The originally empty magical beast forest, with only one low-level mirage beast, suddenly, a large number of magical beasts and mirage beasts swarmed out. Those magical beasts and mirage beast size, some were taller than a tree, and some were so huge that it was shocking. One by one, they were madly trampling on the ground, making a loud roar. Those mercenary groups were scared silly by this lineup. Chapter 224. Your Highness, what's going on? Yiqing Qian was so shocked that her beautiful face turned pale. Both her hands tightly hugged Leng Fenghua. Even Leng Fenghua was so shocked that his face turned pale. He wanted to run, but the woman in his arms held him tightly. It's a beast tide. It's actually a beast tide. The mercenary group leader stared at the group of beasts in disbelief. Leave quickly. Immediately, the leader leaped up and came to Leng Fenghua's side. Both hands carried the two stupefied employers, and quickly moved to the side of the big tree. This team of mercenaries were well trained. After the leader's command, they immediately made the corresponding judgment. One by one, they quickly retreated and scattered in all directions. Silver Plate Mercenary Group, their reaction is really good. Dmo Xian stared at Leng Fenghua, who was hiding on the opposite branch, who was rescued by the leader. Mercenary groups were also divided into different classes. The Mercenary Association divided the mercenary groups into bronze, silver, and gold plate mercenary groups according to the overall strength of the group. Yiqing Luo did not expect that this team of people would turn out to be a silver plate mercenary group. Yiqing Luo thought that a mercenary group that was toyed with by a low-level mirage beast would at most be a bronze plate mercenary group. But these mercenaries, in the face of the beast tide, behaved in an orderly manner, completely different from the helpless look earlier. Yiqing Luo's eyes roamed around the group of beasts, trying to find the trace of the leopard mirage beast. That large wave of beasts trampled over the place where the mercenaries stood and rushed forward. Everywhere he went, the lush trees were sent flying, and the ground trembled from his stomps. Countless cracks appeared on the ground. That leopard mirage beast was so clever, it shouldn't be crushed by this group of beasts, right? Soon, Yiqing Luo found that leopard mirage beast. Because that leopard mirage beast ran in a completely different direction from the group of beasts that kept rushing forward. It quickly ran to the back of the group, its head twisted, and its sharp eyes looked around. That pair of eyes revealed a sense of anxiety. Suddenly, it stopped running, as if it had seen something in the herd of beasts. It immediately rushed forward and ran to its destination. Soon after, like the herd of beasts, it began to run forward without stopping. Yiqing Luo could see it very clearly. The leopard-type phantom beast was looking for a group of leopard-type phantom beasts. Obviously, they were its family. Those leopard-type mirage beasts were as huge as mountains. With one look, one could tell that they were definitely high-level mirage beasts. Originally, he thought that the low-level leopard-type phantom beast was already big enough. He didn't expect that these high-level phantom beasts of the same species were actually several times bigger. The family members of this small mirage beast were all high-level mirage beasts. Just now, it roared so loudly during the fight, but these high-level mirage beasts actually didn't come? The small magical beast followed the speed of the other magical beasts, and its mouth kept opening and roaring. However, the few high-level magical beasts around it did not even look at it. After running for a while, one of the high-level phantom beasts seemed to be annoyed by it. It suddenly turned its head and growled at the little phantom beast. The body of the high-level mirage beast collided with the small mirage beast. These illusionary beasts were several times the size of the small illusionary beasts. With this collision, the small illusionary beast simply could not stand steadily. Its four limbs staggered and rolled on the ground. There was still a large wave of beasts behind it, and they did not stop running. One by one, they seemed to not see the small mirage beast, and directly stepped on it. The small mirage beast dodged in a hurry, but was still stepped on, and let out a mournful cry. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.